Hey friends, today I'm coming on to share with you a tutorial for my Library Pocket mini album ephemera holder, die cut holder, whatever you want to put in this. I'm just calling it my Library Pocket holder. And it's just something that I came up with. I've seen a lot of ladies do this with pockets and tags and things, so I just put my own spin on it and made it my own. And here is my prototype here. I haven't added my Velcro there yet, but I just used my yellow cardstock and some pattern paper, and then it opens with this little flap here, and then you have 5 library pockets. And I decided to do a library pocket on the front and on the back here, so you have 2 pockets. And then I glued my pockets together, so each library card has 3 spots for you to put. You could put your tag in here for journaling, tuck a photo in these. So each one of them has the pocket on the front and the back, and the pocket in the middle here. So let's go ahead and let me show you how I created this. So what you're going to need is a scoreboard, a paper trimmer. You're going to need some glue. You're going to need a corner rounder, or you could just use your scissors to corner round. And you're going to need some sort of base paper. So a cardstock, heavier cardstock would be the best. So I'm just using solid. If you have nice heavy pattern paper, you could just use your pattern paper. So for this, you're going to need 1 sheet of 12 by 12 paper, 1 sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock for your outer pieces, and your pocket, accordion pocket holder inside. So you can get all the pieces out of 1 12 by 12 sheet. And then for your library pockets inside, you're going to need 10 sheets of pattern paper. Now I went through and just cut my double-sided pattern paper so that I could make a library pocket out of both, and then I can fold these up and have pattern on both sides. If you don't have that, then you could cut them out in cardstock and then mat your pieces. I'm also going to be using my bone folder, and I'll also have my scissors handy. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've already, to save time, I've already pre-cut my pieces. So for the outer part of the album here, you are going to need 1 piece that measures 3 by 8 1/4, 1 piece that measures 3 by 6 1/4, and for your flap, you're going to need a piece that measures 3 by 5. So 3 by 8 1/4, 3 by 6 1/4, and 3 by 5. And that is for the outer part of our little library pocket holder. And then you need a piece that measures 3 by 8 for our accordion part in the inside. So I'll leave these if you want to screenshot the sizes. But go ahead and cut your cardstock. I just go ahead and cut everything off the bat right away. All right, and then for your library pockets, you will need 10 sheets of cardstock or pattern paper, whatever you prefer. And your library pockets are going to measure 3 inches wide by 7 inches long. And then we will go over the score lines together in just a second. So, like I said, I like to cut all my paper out first. And then I have everything ready and then can start assembling. Next, we need to cut our pattern papers for the outside of our box here, and then I also did the inside of mine as well. So for those pieces, I used the leftover that I had from my 12 by 12 sheets for my pocket letter. I just used my leftover sheets, so they're a tiny bit smaller on some of them than the measurements for this one. But you are going to need 4 pieces that measure 2 7/8 by 5 1/8, and then those pieces are going to go here on the front and the back. And then if you want to mat the inside here, like I did, you'll need 4 pieces of that. So 2 7/8 by 5 1/8. Then for the bottom here, I also matted that. That piece measures 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Then your flaps, you don't need to worry about this one because it's going to be covered up with this paper, but this top flap here and in the inside here, those are going to measure 2 3/8 by 2 7/8. So you're going to need 2 of those. And then these smaller flaps, you are going to need 3 of those pieces. This, if you put underneath this paper, you'll only need 2, but I forgot to do that in my prototype here. So you really only need 2 if you remember to do that. And then those pieces are going to measure 1 1/8 by 2 7/8. So let's set our pattern paper aside and we're going to go ahead and start scoring. So grab your piece that measures 3 by 8 1/4, and on the long side we are going to score that at 5 1/4. So 5 1/4. So just one quick score line on this piece. Then grab your 3 by 6 1/4, and on the 6 1/4 side, you are going to score it at 1 inch. So 1 inch on your 3 and 6 1/4, and 5 1/4 on your 3 and 8 1/4 piece. Then go ahead and grab your flap, which is the 3 by 5 piece. And on the 5-inch side, you are going to score at 1 1/4 and 3 3/4. And that is going to give you an inch here for your flap and to glue down. So again, that is 1 1/4 and 3 3/4. While you have your scoreboard out, let's go ahead and score our accordion part. So grab your piece that measures 3 by 8, and on the 8-inch side, you are going to score at every 1/2 inch. So score it all the way every 1/2 inch. So 1/2 Oh, that was a quarter. Every half inch, not every quarter inch, every half inch. And then let's go ahead and score our library pockets, and then we can have everything scored and ready to assemble. So for your library pockets, you need to be mindful of your pattern paper. So if I was to fold this one up this way, my tickets would be upside down. So I want to make sure that I'm scoring where my tickets would be right side up. So your library pockets, you're going to score on the 7-inch side at 2. So we need to make sure that when we score at 2, that the side we're folding up is right side up if you have that on your paper. So for this one, I'm going to put my paper in with the pattern facing towards the left and then score at 2. And then when I fold it, the pattern showing here will be right side up. So for this one, it doesn't matter because I have a polka dot, but I want to make sure that I'm scoring my paper here so that my tickets on this side are right side up. So just be mindful of that. So let's score this one. We're going to score at 2. So that way when I fold this side up, my tickets are going in the right direction. So go ahead and score all of your remaining library pockets at 2. So now that we have all of our pieces scored, you are done with your scoreboard. And we can start folding and burnishing our score lines. So you just want to go ahead and fold and burnish. Making sure to take time to line up your papers and give that a good burnish so everything lines up nicely. And then you're going to do the same thing with your library pockets, being mindful that when you fold them, you don't let them fold wonky. Go ahead and make sure they fold nice and square. So we have these all folded and burnished, and we are ready to put together our outer shell of our box. Now, if you want to go ahead and mat these, you can do that now. I would only mat your front piece here. I would wait to mat this until you add your pieces. So for the sake of this video, I'm not going to mat anything just yet. We are just going to put our box together. So I'm going to go ahead on my 3 6 1/4 piece, and I'm going to lay down some double-sided tape. And I like to go ahead and add my double-sided tape, and then I'll add some wet glue on top of that. So I'm just going to go back in. If I can get my glue to come out. Let's see if I can get that unstuck. There we go. So let's get some glue down. And then I'm going to just line these up together, right up to that score line. And then I'm just going to use my bone folder to go in. As always, I'm just working that glue into the paper, and then I like to flip it over and do the same on the back side. So then we have our front and back flaps completed, and we can add our flap here. Now I chose to add my flap on the outside. No, I'm sorry. I added my flap on the inside here. So it was a little cleaner on the outside. So we're going to repeat that. We're going to add our flap to the inside. So add some double-sided tape down again. And then follow it up with some wet glue. And then we are going to add this down. And I like to just lay my piece down flat and then line this up right up to that score line there, making sure everything's nice and neat. Work that glue down into the paper. Clean up any that comes out. I put a little too much glue on there. And now we have the base of our box completed. So we can go ahead and mat these pieces now. So let's go ahead and mat our box. So I think I'm going to use these really pretty florals for the front and the back. And as you can see, I used my scraps. So there's a little bit of a border at the bottom. So I'm just going to center this right in the center. And I'm going to use my double-sided tape for this. You could use your glue. You could use, my tape runner. You could use your double-sided tape, your tape runner, wet glue, whatever works for you. Just for ease of the video, it's going to be easier to use my glue runner. And then we're going to add this to the back here. And then we are going to add our pieces in the inside. So then next we need our 2 by 3 1/8 by 2 7 1/8 for here. And I want to make sure I'm looking putting my paper in the right direction here on the top. Let's add our bottom piece here on the bottom. And lastly, we can cover our flat pieces with our 1 1/8 by 2 7/8 piece. And I only need 2 because I remembered this time to not mat them ahead of time. let's put this one here. And we have all of our pieces matted. Now, if you prefer to have a piece matted here in the inside, you can do that, but it's going to be covered up with our accordion. So I'll put this back into my scrap stash, and we are all matted and ready for our next part. So for our accordion part, you are going to have these mountains that our library pockets are attached to. So you're going to have a piece that's going to be glued down, and then these two places are going to form your mountain, and then you're going to have a piece that's going to be your part that you lay flat. So I like to go to my mountain first, and then I will fold in that piece, and I'll start working with my mountains. And then I'm going to skip this, and I'm going to go to the next line here and fold my mountain. So you're basically skipping every other line, and then you're going to fold your mountain backwards. And then you're going to skip the next line and go fold up your mountain. And fold it backwards. Skip a line. Fold your mountain. And then I like to just fold it backwards on that score line. Skip a line and fold. And while I'm doing that, I'm making sure my sides are I'm making sure our sides are staying flush together and not going wonky. And then this piece is just going to fold up. And then we are going to go into our mountains, and we are going to add some glue. So I just used my double-sided my tape runner for this. So you're just going to want to add glue. I went ahead and added glue on both sides, and then you're going to sandwich them together. And then we have our mountain for our pocket letter. And then you remember we're going to skip a line, and then we are going to attach our next mountain. And repeat that process. Skip a line. Create your mountain. And repeat. And then you will be left with something like this. So this is where we are going to glue our pocket letters on. So let's set this aside. And let's start creating our pocket letters. So go ahead and grab one of your pocket letters. And what you're going to do for these is you're just going to add a small bead of glue on these two sides. So just a small bead of glue. My glue is misbehaving. But just a small bead of glue. I like using the wet glue. And then you want to fold these over, making sure they line up nicely. Clean up any of that extra glue, and then I just go in with my bold folder and run it along that edge just to make sure that it's nice and adhered. I'll take my finger, kind of work that glue into the paper, making sure it's laying down. So go ahead and repeat this step with all of your remaining 9 pocket letters, and then when we come back, we'll be ready to assemble these in our little pocket holder. Now that we have all of our library pockets glued, you can go ahead and match them up. I'm going to match them up based on the papers, and then I'm going to put them together and match up the corners at the top to go ahead and corner round them using my 1/4 inch rounder here. And I like to corner round these together because they're going to be glued together in my little box. So I want them to line up nicely. So go ahead and corner round your library pockets. Once that they are all corner rounded, we can go ahead and assemble our accordion in our box. So I like to lay mine flat, and then we are going to add this in between those score lines. As you can see, it's a little bit too big. So what I did, because I wanted to have this be a 1/2 inch, I'm going to go ahead and miter the corners here. And I'm also going to go ahead and cut about, I don't know, 1/8 inch or so off. And then I'm going to repeat that with this side and miter my corners. And then cut about 1/8 inch. And you may have to cut a little bit more off, but you just kind of want to line that up with your score lines. And about 1/8 inch is perfect. And I need to make this one a little bit straighter. I cut that a little wonky, so let's cut that a little bit straighter. Clean up our little pieces here. And then we are ready to glue this down. And I'm going to go ahead and use my wet glue again so that I have a little bit of wiggle room so that I can move this around. So I'm going to add glue all over. And then you want to line up against the edge here and kind of center that in the center. And if we have any hanging off the edge for any reason, we can trim that up. And then once you have it centered, just go back in with your bone folder in each of the sections and make sure you work that glue down into your paper. See, we have a little bit hanging off the edge here. Not a big deal. Let's arrange that, push that over a little bit. All right, and so now we have our accordion part down. We could start adding our library pockets. So to add the library pockets, what I did was I went ahead and added a little bead of glue right here. So before you meet that pocket, I just added a little bit of glue almost to the top, but not quite, and left the bottom part not glued together. That way I could add it onto here. You could just add them individually like this and then glue together, but I found this way easier for me. So I'm just going to add a thin line of glue almost to that top, kind of almost to where you corner rounded, And then I'm going to attach these two together. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to my accordion part here. And I'm going to add it on both sides. And then I'm just going to slip my pocket where I left the opening over top of my accordion and center that in there. And then just using my fingers, I'm going to make sure that I get that really adhered nicely to the glue. And then if you want to add glue here, you can as well. Let's go ahead and put one more of these on together, and then I will do the remaining off camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my glue, not all the way down. Add glue on both sides of my library pocket, and then we will sandwich them together. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure that they are adhered nicely, because I don't want them to come apart. And then I'm going to go in and add my glue to my accordion part here. So I'm just going to add the glue on both sides. And then we will add our pocket down. Just get that centered. And then I just like to take my hand in there. You could take your bone folder. I just want to make sure that that stays nice and adhered. And then I also like to go in with my little sewing clips and take my sewing clip and add one to each side here, because I think that helps hold that glue in place so that it stays nice and adhered together. And you could do that in multiple spots if you wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and add my other library pockets down. Okay, so I have all of my pockets glued in. I'm going to go in and make sure I don't need to add any extra glue. Like I see this one might need a little extra glue there, so I'm going to just go in and add a little extra glue here, and then use one of my clips to kind of help glue that better together. And it looks like the rest of them are okay. Same with this side. Everything else looks, well, this one looks like it could. No, that looks okay. So we'll just add a little extra glue on that one. And then all we need to do now is add our little Velcro dot here to close this. And I like to add a little extra glue down So I'm just going to use my hot glue roughly in the center. Add that down. And then I add a little bit of glue on this one. And then I'll bring it together to the other side. And I'll just push that together nicely, and then our Velcro can be adhered on both sides. Now, if you want to use a magnet so you can hide it, you could use a magnet as well. All right, and so our little library pocket holder is complete, and all that's left to do is to decorate this. So I've already off camera decorated my prototype here. I just used one of these rosettes that I had in my stash and added my little adhesive here to open and close. And then I'm ready to add some photos, tags, journal, and keep some summer memories in here. Or I could create tags and gift them for some happy mail. That is all completely up to you. But I think this turned out so super cool. So here is my prototype, and here is the one that we just created on camera. And then I'm going to decorate this one, I think, with this rosette with the pineapple and the watermelon to kind of match our papers. So thanks so much, guys, for stopping by and checking out this tutorial. I hope you will give this a try and create one of these. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.